All right, let's do a quick recap of yesterday's trading activities and, of course, an outlook for next week with Temple Ashaju. Temple.
Here again, thank you, Chimeze. Well, yesterday we saw a situation where the market experienced some sort of a resurrection, of course, perhaps in line with the Easter season. That's why we saw that, because what we saw yesterday was a positive movement again, and this is something that we haven't seen since the 6th of March, and so it was something to actually celebrate in the market yesterday. We realized some 1.47% gain. That translated to 1.37% week-to-date performance for the markets. The last time we saw a weekly gain like this was on the 6th of March, when the market actually ended the week up some 0.27%. But basically, yesterday, coupled with what we actually have for the entire week, was 1.37%. And that also pushed back the equity capitalization to 11.14 trillion naira. That was the 161 billion naira that we actually gained yesterday, and that's how we arrived at this particular position. Now, I should add that one of the reasons why we are saying what we've been seeing in the market is, again, because the banks and the local players, the pension fund administrators and custodians have actually been putting funds down on fundamentally sound stocks in the markets, because there's basically no outlet for these folks to put their money in at this point in time, and that's why we're seeing this positive sentiment, this level of appetite, in spite of the fact that yesterday the activity level declined a little bit by some 9.7% in terms of volume. But if you look at the value of the transactions, 5.01 billion naira, that was a 3.7% decline compared to what we did the previous trading session. So basically, we had some 24 gainers and a few losers yesterday in the market. FBN Holdings, which is paying out 38 kobo in dividends to investors, actually was the most actively traded company yesterday. Did some 6% plus in gains and contributed more of 250-something million naira to the entire value of transactions that we have in the space yesterday. If you look at the banking sector was up by almost 6%, 4% yesterday. We got FBN Holdings contributing some 6% to that. Stanbic IBTC also contributed some 6.8% to that. We got Sterling Bank also contributing about 8% or more to that, and of course 9.1% from UBA yesterday. All of that put together contributed to what we have in the banking space yesterday. Consumer goods segment of the market, we got Cadbury making a comeback. We got Nestle PLC up by more than 8% yesterday, and of course Dangote Sugar, I should add, was also up by more than 9% yesterday, almost 10% actually, because the regulators, now Securities and Exchange Commission, has now given a go-ahead to the mergers and acquisition deal between Dangote Sugar and Savannah Sugar, and that's a space to watch at this point in time, possibly. That's the reason why we're seeing some investors trying to quickly bet on the low valuation on that particular stock as we speak. So by the time the details of the M&A is released, they will be the first to record some cool gains on that segment of the market. Industrial goods side of the market was down yesterday. That was the only sector that was down by 57 basis points, and that's because we saw 2.22% decline on the share price of Bois Cement. Some folks sold down there to move into some other lucrative and attractive stocks in the market. Insurance segments, we got Lasaco PLC making a very strong performance on that side of the market yesterday, up by almost 10%. ICO PLC was also up by some 5% yesterday, and all of that pushed up the indices to 32 basis points yesterday. Oil and gas also experienced some positive performance yesterday, up some 1.36% yesterday alone, thanks to O&O and Seplat that actually contributed to that level of appetite that we saw in the market. Adova PLC, in terms of energy stocks now, was unchanged yesterday. Some folks have rested their sell-off sentiment on that segment of the market. Cornwell was unchanged. 11 PLC unchanged. MRS remaining intact. But O&O was up again yesterday from 2 naira 20 kobo to 2 naira 40 kobo. That's where this settled, and that also moderated the 44% year-to-date decline or losses that we had seen on that side of the market, as it rose by 9.09% yesterday, having seen some 1.31 million units of shares exchanged on this particular counter. Next is Seplat, which is back up even though it was just 1% movement. And of course, it's now 495 naira, all the way from 492 naira. We saw this volume of transaction on this end of the stock yesterday. Total remain unchanged. Etana PLC, Global Spectrum, Japol, all these folks are waiting for you to bring in your funds. And then moving on to the NSI, of the side of the unlisted securities markets, we saw 0.8% growth yesterday. We see the NSI now coasting back up to some 700 psychological mark. Yesterday, the market's capitalization remained at 512.89 billion naira. And of course, if you look at the volume of transaction, major contributors were Afriland, which is a real estate company. And of course, we got CSCS, but there was no change in their prices. We know that Afriland remained at 2 naira 10 kobo, while CSCS, which is the deposit of the markets tradable on this platform, was at 12 naira 50 kobo. There hasn't been any change in their performances, but basically the true transactions contributed to this amount that we saw in terms of value, to 35.86 million naira yesterday. Now, talking about the fixed income end of things, investors continue to go for the mid-end of the curve because, again, that seems to be the spots where they have the attractions. And given the fact that we've seen expansion of these papers now to the 2049, 2050 categories, the 2037 end of things now become something you can look at as the mid-end of the curve. And that's where we have a bit of interest yesterday, some 300 million naira worth of transactions there, which, of course, changed the price from to 127.89, 127 naira 89 kobo. Now we've continued to see decline in the yields because, again, there's been so much of demand and outweighing the offers that we're seeing on this side of the markets. Folks are also looking at the longer end of the market. At the longer end of things, we saw bids declining by some 21 basis points yesterday, and that's because there's basically nowhere for those investors to push funds to. So, but if you look at the bids and, of course, the performance of the markets yesterday till date, for this week alone, we've been able to see some cumulative 54 basis points decline in yields and all, because, again, things are tight, no space to actually lock down funds in. For the treasury bill side of the markets, there were just 3 deals yesterday, and we got investors locking funds in this space. These are the few outlets that they were able to get, and that's why we saw a total of 3 deals for just less than 1 billion naira, actually, in terms of the value of the transactions that we saw there, even though investors continue to show interest at the shorter end of the curve, which is where we had the highest, 850 million naira for the 15th of October 2020 paper. And of course, at the OMO end of things, we've continued to see the banks playing very, very actively in this space. We got the interest around the short end and, of course, the mid end of the markets, and things were basically up. Deals yesterday was 76, and of course 248, almost 250 billion naira worth of transactions on the side of the markets yesterday. I should also add that due to the fact that we've seen OPEC now kind of reaching a resolve on the price of on the production of crude oil, and of course the resolve is something that investors will continue to trade by the time they resume on Tuesday next week. Chimeze.
All right, hopefully we'll get an Easter egg, perhaps, when markets resume on Tuesday, when Easter holiday, right?
Absolutely, Chimeze. That's something that investors are looking forward to right about now, because, again, all the ends of the market are doing so well. So that's the gift to Christians who are celebrating at this point in time, and to you as well.
We look forward to that. Sure. And on that note, we draw the curtain on today's edition of the program and, of course, for the week. Thank you for watching, and please stay at home and remain safe. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago.